Once upon a time, there was a little house way out in the country. She was a pretty little house, and she was strong and well built. The man who built her so well said, "This little house shall never be sold for gold or silver, and she will live to see our great-great-grandchildren's great-great-grandchildren living in her." Over the years, the little house became very sad and lonely. Her paint was cracked and dirty, her windows were broken, and her shutters hung crookedly. She looked shabby, though she was just as good a house as ever underneath. Hi, I'm Sandy Umbach. One of the children's most loved stories is about a little old house in the country that becomes run down while an entire city grows up around it. It's finally discovered by the great-great-granddaughter of the man who built the home and is lovingly restored. Today, we're bringing you the story of a little old house in the country in Peters Township. Like the house in the book, its potential had been forgotten or overlooked for many years. That is, until a Peters couple looked at this 1870 farmhouse with new eyes and saw a place they could call home. But first, there was a lot of work to do. The house was small and over 100 years old. Plus, they didn't want to just remodel over the original features. They needed a contractor who would respect the history of the house and yet make it livable and spacious as well. Not much is known about the original owners of this farmhouse site, and the current ones would like to remain a mystery as well. But they did agree to let us document this extraordinary renovation with the contractor, Frank Quinn Construction. We joined the crew later in the project to catch all of the inside work and to see the progress as it happens. What follows is a behind-the-scenes look at a story with a very happy ending. If you're looking for a new house in Peters Township, you'll have plenty to choose from. But if a part of you longs for the nostalgia of an older home, you might find the answer to your dreams is a combination of past and present. Hi, and welcome to day one of our Old House Diary. Today I'm standing in the back of the farmhouse, just off what used to be the original kitchen. Something that'll be very helpful to understand before we begin this process is that the farmhouse is actually divided into two halves. The old part that I'm standing in front of right now, and to my right, a brand new 1,700 square foot addition being completed by Frank Quinn Construction. As you'll see, each half of the house is at a very different stage of completion. Tomorrow, when we look at the addition, we'll see that it's still very much under construction. But today, we're going to take a look at the original parts of the home. The contractors have just 2 weeks to prepare the home for the owners to move in, and today they're sanding, painting, and wallpapering. Frank's inside right now with the painters. Let's go find him. Hey guys, how you doing today?
Hi Sandy, how are you?
Good, good. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
We appreciate you letting us come out. I know that there's a lot of activity going on in the last 2 weeks of the project, but we're going to follow you around for the next few days and see how it goes.
My pleasure.
All right. Frank, I know that this isn't your first historic project in the township. Frank and his family live in one of the original homes in Peters, and I was wondering, how did you get your interest in these historic projects?
I grew up with it. My family was in the construction business in New England, and my dad and my uncles restored old homes, and I've been doing it since I was a little boy.
Wow. In a project like this, a combination project, how do you go about preserving the original features and the history of the house and then adding those modern amenities that families want today?
I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of magic. It kind of goes together, and you've got to pick and choose as you go along what you think will go. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. Hopefully you're more right than you're wrong.
What do you think is more challenging, taking a restoration project on or building a new home?
Restoration, especially one like this where you really add a lot of house to an existing house. Difficult to do that, but we've tried and done, a lot of things here that we we had to didn't have a plan for it. We had to kind of design as we went.
Kind of winging it?
Yeah.
I bet you I know which kind of project you like best.
Yeah, this is it.
Good.
Yeah. This is it.
Let's take a look now at the floor plan that you have for the home.
Okay. Now, as you walk through the front door into what was the old kitchen, which is now a foyer, into the family room, which we've restored, you'll notice that, not in the plan, but we put a bay window in right here, which was an old porch, which we knocked down. You walk through here into the living room, which we've restored completely, this area, and over here you'll see a fireplace, which is now a working fireplace and has a wooden mantle on the front of it. You walk out the front door to the old porch, which we've kind of rebuilt. This is the transition area between the existing farmhouse and the addition that we added onto it. Through this transition point, we broke through 2 doorways, which become passageways. Over here is the great room that we added, and over here you'll notice that we put a bay window. This bay window matches this bay window, which we put over here when we knocked down this old porch. This area here is a kitchen area. It has a new kitchen in it now. And as you come out from the old part of the house, there's a doorway there now, and a passageway that goes down a small hallway to a laundry room and a couple closets. And then we make a right-hand turn, and we're in the master bedroom. And this area has now been completely redone with a master bath. Now we go outside, and we have a new deck out here now. It's not exactly the way the architect designed it. We've redesigned it so that you can look out the doors to the pond that's in the back. And we kind of took the deck and made it the same shape as the bay windows in the house so that you could look out the land. The deck kind of hugs the land now and all the contours in it. These stairs are no longer here. We took them out and we put stairs on the 3 sides of the deck, here, there, and there, to match the bay window. From inside the house, the owners now have a clear view of the pond.
Frank, this house has so many neat original features, and one of them here is the fireplace. Can you tell us what this was originally like and what your plans are for it?
Yes, the owners lived in this house, of course, for many years, and this used to be a stone fireplace.
Oh.
And she had asked me would I design a mantle and a new wood front for it that would match, kind of go together with the period of the house. So we did, and the carpenters built it. And we're going to put some tile around the perimeter of it, and they like it. We're going to paint it. They put the wallpaper up now. It's finished in this room. John just finished it. I guess the interior decorator is going to come in, and we're going to paint this like a 3-tone.
Yeah, the actual floor plan of the original farmhouse is very simple. We were in the dining room, and now we're in the living room. And originally there was just this living room, dining room, and kitchen, actually kind of small. And I see we have some simple windows and window treatments here.
Yeah.
Let's go over to the stairs and take a look at the original staircase. Sure. Frank, I understand that this is the original staircase. Were you surprised to find out that it was still in such good condition?
Yes, especially after we stripped it. We had stripped a small segment of this even before the project started, and the owners wanted to try to match this color in their floors.
Kind of continue the theme throughout the whole house?
Yeah, they wanted to continue the theme by stripping the existing old floors in the house and then putting new floors down, oak floors down, in the addition.
Other points of interest in the original part of the home are the upstairs bedrooms, each with their own fireplace, a newly designed bay window which emerged where an unwanted entrance once stood, and one accessory any respectable farmhouse has to have. Everybody's favorite part of an old house is the front porch. At least it's my favorite part. Frank, was this porch just like this, or what are your plans for it, and what was it like when you first saw it?
Well, there's a lot of clutter on it now, but my painters had some place to store stuff. But originally, this is the original, I guess it was built about 1920. I had a friend of mine who's an architectural historian out, and he said, yeah, about 1920.
Oh, so this porch was added on later.
I think this is added on to the house, the original house. But it was covered with aluminum.
Oh, aluminum.
Yeah, it was added aluminum. Somebody put aluminum siding and ceiling, and I had the owners out here, and I tore part of the aluminum down, and they didn't like the old board and bead ceiling that's on it.
There's a wood ceiling here.
It's a wood ceiling.
So you took off this aluminum or siding or whatever it was?
It was all around the headers on the porch. It covered all the trim and the main part of the ceiling here. So we tore it all down. And they love it like this because it's original.
Yeah.
And
What are you planning
We're
to
gonna
do?
paint it.
Just do some painting?
yeah.
That's really all it needs. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, well, there's a couple boards that are rotten here and there, and this trim here on this one panel was rotten, so we replaced it with the same kind of molding that they had back then. We found a piece that looks almost like it, and we're going to
That's
paint
good.
the porch.
All you need is a front porch swing then.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess we can't make that now, though. We're too busy.
Since the project began, Frank and his crew have had plenty to keep them busy, like grading the land and other site work that goes along with new construction. And as Frank told us, a whole new crop of details to attend to can emerge from one day to the next.
Hi, we're joining you with day 2 of our old house diary. Yesterday, we got to take a look at some of the original features of the home, and today, we get to explore the new 1,700 square foot addition. I'm sitting on the deck designed by Frank Quinn. He'll be out in just a minute to tell us about it. When we go inside, we're going to be taking a look at a great room and a new master bedroom suite. And also a little surprise. The owner's wife loves plants, and the builders have designed a very special place for her to put them. Let's go see if we can find Frank. Hi, Frank.
Hi, Sandy. How
How are you doing
Good,
today?
thank you.
We were just admiring the deck, and I understand you had a special purpose in mind when you designed it. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, the owners wanted to have an open ceiling.
It is very open.
Yeah, something that would hug the land, not too big or not too small. So we had the intention of incorporating the bay window. There's 2 bay windows in the house.
Right?
One on the far side and one over. And this has a shape of a bay window, if you
Yeah,
notice it.
it does.
Plus it's functional because it's a staircase. It has a third purpose because there's no railing in the front. So that they can see the railing. There's no railing in the front, so
Right.
they can see the pond.
So when people look out, they just see the land.
Right.
Okay,
It hugs the land.
great. Can we go in and see what you're doing today?
Sure.
Okay. Frank, can you tell us what's going on in the great room today?
There's a lot of activity today. We're putting up a lot of finished moldings. Electrician Jay will be back. He's putting in all the finished mounts. And
How about
Oh.
this window? This looks remarkably like the window in the original part of the home in the dining room. How did you go about designing this?
well, with this window here, it's exactly the same as the other window.
Okay.
And all the casings that you see here,
This is a really nice trim. What is that?
this is a 3.5-inch colonial casing, which matches the original trim on the old part of the house. It's the
So
same.
this is pine, did you say?
It's #1 pine. What happens is they stain it before we put it up. Then we put it up, and then they seal it, and they'll sand this. They'll wipe all the sanding residue off of it and put a second coat up after we're all finished setting our nails.
Okay. Let's go over here and check out the kitchen. I guess you got some electrical work going on?
Yeah, well, Jay is finishing up over here. Looks like he's just about finished with all the plugs he's putting in, all the covers. We've got some under-the-counter lighting,
All right.
over-the-counter lighting that's being put in.
This kitchen's getting like pretty well done.
Yeah. What we did here is we installed the kitchen,
Uh-huh.
and then after the kitchen's installed, of course we put down this floor, which is something we should talk about maybe. It's a free-floating floor, it's called. It's not nailed.
Floating floor?
Yeah.
What is that exactly?
It's set on a pad, on a pad on the floor,
Uh-huh.
and what you start at one end of the room, and each piece of floor fits as a tongue and groove effect, and you glue it together, you put it down, and it floats. So when you walk on it, it kind of bounces.
Yeah, it's kind of springy.
It's like a sponge.
Okay.
And it's different. It's a new concept in flooring they've had for a few years now, and the owners are very pleased with it.
Beautiful. Frank, an interesting feature about this house is how you can see from one end of the home to the other. Can you tell us how that ended up to be that way?
That was planned.
Okay.
The owners wanted to be able to stand on their deck and look through the entire house to the other side. And if you notice, this doorway, we cut this doorway in the old wall of the house. And this doorway is centered on the old doorway,
Uh-huh.
which is centered on the bay window
Right. It's kind
at
of
the
like
far end of the house. It's in sequence all the way through the
Yeah,
house. There's an
okay.
access line drawn through the house. So that the middle of that door, which goes out to the deck, is centered on the middle of that bay window, which goes out the other side of the house.
and it gives it like a free, open
Free flow.
feeling.
Especially with ventilation. If you open those doors and those windows, you'll have a complete breeze blowing right through the middle of the house.
Nice. It's very airy.
Yep.
Let's take a look at the master bedroom.
All right?
Here in the master suite are all the amenities you find in new homes, including a full wall of oak closets, cathedral ceiling, and in the bath, a jacuzzi tub and double sinks. A soaring ceiling here leads to a bright and airy atrium loft from which you can see every room of the addition. This loft will provide the showplace for the owner's abundant plant collection. The success of a complex project like this one rides not only on a good crew, but on the person who has to keep in mind the big picture.
Pete, with this stuff here, you're gonna have to plane down the size a little bit.
Watching Frank at work gave us an idea of what is on his mind on a daily basis.
Kurt, get that truck warmed up.
Yours?
Yeah, I think you were taking the liberty.
Keeping track of electricians, plumbers, and other subcontractors can sometimes be a full-time job.
Jay, we all done in the kitchen? Kathy? Frank.
Every day a contractor has to think about materials arriving on the job, talking to his subcontractors about doing the job properly and on time, rechecking things that have arrived on the job to make sure they fit snug. And also, finally, let's make a house into a home.
The power guy comes in, we're going to make an access panel that pulls out here. We'll probably have brass screws to hold it on. This unit ever goes, we can have access. Port over, that won't bother you.
As the job winds down, it is important to check the final details and keep the crew motivated.
But Frank's mind wasn't always on serious matters. He even took the time to talk about how music can help orchestrate the building process.
Well, actually, I'm bipolar. I go from anywhere from Beethoven, which I love, is my hero.
I listen to a lot of classical.
Right to Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd. I mean, I'm right down the line. Different kinds of building as far as being a rock. When you're listening to rock, you can build that way. And then if you listen to classical music, then you kind of do this, so it's kind of neat. I don't know.
With the many subcontractors and crew working on site, we decided to talk with some of them about their work. A major part of the project was restoring the exterior surface of the original house. We met up with Ben Byers and Keith Champagne from Churnco Cleaning Company, working on the original stone chimney that graces the home. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing here with the various chemicals and the washing of the house?
Yeah, we're using two different brands of chemical to clean the old brick and the new masonry. And right now we're applying paint stripper to get the paint and the tar off the house. And
looks like the chimney turned out really well. What do you think of it?
yeah, it turned out pretty good. It's still dusty. There's some black spots when we spray it off. That's just all sand laying on her now, but it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, Frank tells me that this is the original chimney and the original stonework, and I thought that was pretty amazing. What do you think about it?
Oh, it's great. It's nice. You go do a stone house and it's black, and you get done and it's white. Like the whole house looks like that. It turns some heads.
Later, the crew from Churnco washed the brick on the original part of the home. The brick on the new addition was matched to it as closely as possible. This isn't 100-year-old brick, however. It was put on over the original frame home in 1945. Next, we found Kurt Books from Frank's crew working on the landscaping. I understand you're going to be getting some grass here soon. What are you exactly planning to do out here in the yard?
We're just going to smooth everything out so you can plant the grass. We're supposed to plant it this evening.
Oh, okay.
And we got to have everything all ready for that time.
We're standing outside today of the original dining room and living room rooms that we showed you before. We can't go in there today because they have sealed the hardwood floors and we need 24 hours until they dry. But I hear some pounding over here, so I think we've got Pete over here. We'll take a look and see what he's doing. Hi, Pete.
Hi, how are you today?
Good, how are you doing? I understand you know Frank from up in New York.
Yeah, I've known him for about 12 years.
Oh, wow, so you've been working with Frank all that time?
Yeah, 9 years there, and we've been down here 3 years now.
Okay. How do you like it in Peters Township?
I like it a lot. It's a nice, quiet community. It's a little bit different than living outside of New York.
I bet. I understand you have 2 children?
Yeah, Peter and Chris, they're in the elementary school there at McMurray.
Great. What are you doing here today? Finishing up some
I'm setting the door
woodwork?
here. We have rough framing, got some space in here, so I'm putting some shims in to tighten it up. And this is a closet we added in the old kitchen here. They wanted like a pantry. And got the door closed. It's nice now. This is the old wall here. This is the new we put on. And I'm in the process now, and I'll trim it out and put the baseboard on. And then we'll have, as you can see, the floor, we'll have the tile going down sometime by the end of the week.
Okay,
And that'll finish. This is going to be like a hallway with a pantry here with the kitchen right off to the right.
good. How much wood do you think you've cut for this job?
It's 6,478 feet.
I think so. Every time I come here, I see Pete cutting wood. You started in May. Did you ever think you'd get done with this project?
Yeah, things just keep getting added on, and they're snowballing, so we're just taking things one day at a time.
Okay. And you're getting near the final stretch?
Yes,
Okay.
yes we are.
Thanks. While the crew worked inside, we decided to step out and take a look at the grounds, which in Peters or anywhere are a breath of fresh air. The farm property extends over 40 acres into Nottingham Township. On a perfect Indian summer day, the new pond, horse trails, and the original barn provide a peaceful respite from contemporary life. With Peters Township's rich farming history, this farmhouse site is a charming reminder of our past. From the early 1700s and through today, the farms in the township have been a vital part of the community. And while most original barns in the township, have disappeared from the landscape, this one remains standing and in good condition. We're lucky to have a family friend of the owners here with us today, Paul Lowry. He's dug up some history on the farmhouse, and we're going to have a talk with him. Hi, Paul. How are you today?
Glad to see you.
Good. We won't tell you that I
How you're stepping.
kind of slipped down through one of the, what do you call these?
Flat.
One of these slats before, so we're going to walk down here. Paul, how are you today?
Fine.
During our conversation with Paul about his research into the farmhouse property, we learned of an old deed which showed the previous owners were a family by the name of Douglas.
And I think it was a man and wife and a brother that lived here.
What did they mainly farm here, do you believe?
Well, as far as I know, they had cattle or milk cows and just general farming. As a matter of fact, there was a man from down in Gastonville that stopped here one day and said as a young man, he used to help here on the farm with the cows and so forth. And
This barn's in really good shape, and downstairs that we'll be going to is where they kept the cattle. I guess they have original cattle stables.
that's right. But
What do you think of the condition that it's in?
well, it's in fair condition. We have to do a lot of rebuilding downstairs. The stalls have more or less fallen apart.
A unique feature of the property is the man-made pond, which was designed to fit into the natural landscape.
The pond is about, I guess, 7 feet deep in the deepest part. There was a small pond there before, and we've tried to start to landscape it with plants that can be used around, and then put some goldfish in there that'll stay all year long. And
I noticed some nice what do you call those? Were you calling them water lilies or?
Well, water hyacinths. We're going to put some water lilies in one of these days. And
As our outside tour ended, we stopped where Paul likes to spend most of his time, the garden, filled with vegetables and an array of beautiful flowers. In the chaos of new construction, his gentle presence there was a constant reminder of farming traditions gone by.
Here we are on our final visit to the farmhouse. In the meantime, the owners have moved in, all their furniture is in place, and everything is completely done. Let's go take a look. Wow, the back porch looks great, doesn't it?
During our final tour, Frank offered his personal thoughts on how his vision of the farmhouse developed from beginning to end.
My client here, I built this addition for, wanted to do was kind of synthesize old and new values. He took an old farmhouse, which is about probably 150 years old, and the construction back then, and the feel of the house, and he tried to synthesize something modern that he could live in, that he came from. He came from another house, to have the convenience of modern times with old world values. And we try to put together, especially in the exterior, try to blend it so it doesn't clash. It kind of blends together. And I think that worked out with the materials that we have today. But what happened inside is it's not a clash, but it's a contrast between what was available in the 1860s or 1870s as versus the 1990s as far as materials and structure. What also happened here was with the architect designed it. I think the architect has a Bauhausian attitude about architecture, and that some famous people like Walter Gropius or Mies van der Rohe come into play there with his values, and probably when he went to architecture school. And he designed it such that the interior space has elements exposed. All the structure in it is exposed. Everything has a function. It goes beyond just the form and design. It has a function. It holds something up either vertically or horizontally, and it gives the inside of the addition integrity, in that it's modern versus the house, which is kind of like a farmhouse, old farmhouse effect. And it shows you two different kinds of architecture within the space itself. And then we were so lucky that we could modify things. My client gave me freedom to modify things as I went, to blend the old into the new as we went along. It was a very satisfying experience that way for both him and me.
Well, Frank, we're at the end of the project here, and we'd really like to thank you for all the time that you took to show us around the house and have us kind of get in the way sometimes. And I'd just like to ask you, what are your feelings about the experience? What were some of your favorite parts of it?
The favorite part was the people in the house. I really love the people I worked for here, and I'm glad we could really do this project for them, and that's what made it such a great project. All the people that worked on it too, because I'm a people person. And the structure that we built was just perfect for this location.
I really love how these built-ins turned out. We have some footage that we showed earlier of the built-in bookcase and the desk here. So what's your next project?
We're going to Shady Side to renovate the inside of a big, I guess it's a mansion.
Another historic project?
Yeah, it's about 120 years old, this house, yeah.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Yeah.
Well, good luck to you, and thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
The windows and shutters were fixed, and again, they painted her a lovely shade of pink. As the little house settled down on her new foundation, she smiled happily. Once again, she could watch the sun and moon and stars. Once again, she could watch spring and summer and fall and winter come and go. Once again, she was lived in and taken care of. Is that a happy ending, guys?
Yeah!
This concludes our Old House Diary. Thanks for joining us. For Channel 7 Television, I'm Sandy Umbach.